For the first time since World War II, Italy is set to elect a far-right leader. Exit polls show Giorgia Meloni as country's next prime minister. The Brothers of Italy party leader struck a moderate tone in her first victory speech.
If we will be called to govern this country, we will do it for all Italians, for everybody, with the goal of uniting this people, of stressing what unites rather than what divides. Because the great goal that we have always given ourselves in life as a political force was to ensure that Italians could once again be proud to be an Italian. Be proud to wave the tricolour flag.
Now, according to exit polls, Meloni's party alone is predicted to win around 26% of the vote. This is a major boost since last national election in 2018, where a party received only 4% of the votes. The right-wing alliance includes Matteo Salvini's far-right League and former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi's centre-right Forza Italia. The Grand Alliance is looking at 41 to 45% of vote share, which will put them in control of both the houses. There is no definitive breakdown of parliamentary seats yet, but here is what is being predicted. In the lower house, the right bloc is set to hold 238 seats in total. This is close to 60% of the house, with Brothers of Italy leading the coalition. And the centre-left bloc to receive just 78 seats. Over to the Senate now, which has 200 seats. The right bloc is set to control 56% of the House with about 112 seats. And the left bloc will be in minority with 40 seats. Now, if elected, Giorgia Meloni is going to be a woman of many firsts. As we told you earlier, she will become the first far-right leader since World War II. This is almost 100 years after Benito Mussolini stormed Rome. Meloni will also go down in history as Italy's first female prime minister.
Piano piano, piano piano ragazzi, piano piano, che lo spigolo qua, qualche passo indietro, tiriamo più avanti.
Now for more on this, we are being joined by political analyst and co-founder of refrain from Rome, Lorenzo Pregliasco. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Now, the Brothers of Italy party is expected to receive about 26% of the vote. Now, what is interesting is that this is the same party that got 4% in the 2018 general election. So, what changed in the last 4 years?
Well, many things changed in Italy and in its political system, but most of the success of Mrs. Meloni's party, Fratelli d'Italia, has to do with her, novelty factor. She presented herself as somebody yet untested, and Italian voters gave her confidence and gave her trust in yesterday's election.
Right now, another thing that's being talked about right now is the voter turnout. In this snap election, that was 63%, as we are being told. Now, I have a twofold question for you. Why do you think the voter turnout was so low? And do you think this will have an effect on the results?
Well, as for the reasons of this very low turnout, it is by far the lowest turnout in a national election in Italy in our history. The reasons are basically long-term and short-term. So long-term, you have the weakening of parties. And in the short term, you have had a parliamentary mandate which, made many voters think that their vote was not consequential because you had many coalitions, many different alliances, many changes of governments in the same term. As for the results, I don't think it had a significant effect on the election because, for example, the Five-Star Movement, which was believed to suffer the most from a low turnout, have had a significant result, especially in the south, nevertheless.
Right. Now, Giorgia Meloni's allies have close ties with Russia. Berlusconi claimed that Vladimir Putin was pushed into invading Ukraine, and Salvini has questioned the Western sanctions. So I want to ask you, do you think the new government will have an impact on the Ukraine war?
Well, Mrs. Meloni made it very clear that she stands with the Ukraine, and basically she backed Prime Minister Draghi's decisions on Ukraine and Russia even if she was in the opposition. So I think that with a Meloni government, the direction of Italy in geopolitical terms will be similar to the one of the previous government. And so Mrs. Meloni reaffirmed the European allegiance and the NATO commitment. So I don't expect significant changes on that. Although, as you said, you have junior partners in the right-wing coalition who tend to be, more skeptical of sanctions, and maybe they would call for a softer approach on Russia.
Absolutely. Now, we will leave it for that. Thank you for all your insight, Lorenzo Pregliasco.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.